Welcome everybody to this Helpful Village release webinar of December 11th. We're doing this webinar a week earlier because December is December, and we're glad everyone is here. This is the agenda for today. So we have a couple of reminders like we usually do, some news, short news today, and then we have a longer list of new features today. So we're excited to showing those to you. So with the reminders first, we have, I don't believe this. Is the next Helpful Village release webinar is not on January 11th. That's a copy paste mistake, but it's going to be the third Wednesday of January, which I don't know what it is. So someone can do the math. We'll put it on the chat. But we have a Q&A webinar that we're having next week on Wednesday, December 18th. So today's release webinar, we're announcing next week we have Q&A with V2V. By the way, this is the last webinar we do with V2V, where they're hosting it. They just let us know that I don't know, that they were busy with other webinars they're organizing, and they asked us if we could host the webinars going forward. And we said yes. So we'll be hosting all webinars. The release webinars and the Q&A webinars will happen under the Helpful Village link under our invitations, etc., starting in 2025. So this is the last one we do, hosted by B2B next week. Just a useful reminder of useful resources: the training docs guide, the help center under support.helpfulvillage.com, and then there is a Slack website where villages can talk to each other and ask questions. That's also a quick reminder. Before we do the Q&A webinar next week, it's useful if you have your questions, you can send them to Gary Franco, who's our national coordinator of the Helpful Village Users Group. And that allows us to, and I can see Gary. So that allows us to prioritize and, prepare about our answers about those questions ahead of time. So if you have any questions already, the sooner you send them to Gary, the sooner we can start thinking about what is the best way to answer them. So please use this email. Those things will go to Gary, and Gary synchronizes with us, and we get our Q&A webinar organized. This is a quick reminder of the Help Center, where you will find all our training documents under support.helpfulvillage.com. Just need to type a query, a keyword, and it's going to show you the training doc corresponding to it. And then on the top right, you can also submit a request. Is how you create a ticket to our system so that our support team can take care of your problems. Just one quick reminder also that there is a difference between bugs and improvement ideas. So the bugs go under support.helpfulvillage.com. The ideas go under ask.helpfulvillage.com. We're approaching also the end of the year, so we are spending some time sending reminders of outstanding invoices. So that makes us waste a little bit of time. So we'll get back to you if there is any open invoices for 2024. You will be receiving an email. Christina is working on that. And then obviously all those things wouldn't happen if we set up these automatic payments. This makes us save time, makes you save time. So you're interested in this option. Anastasia is the biggest advocate for automatic payments, so she'll be happy to set them up for you. She hates so much when I show her a check. Now we're moving on to the news section of the webinar, and these are very quick news. So we had a long webinar last month about our work around the National Community Care Corps grant. This is federal money that is made available to villages. We're super excited about this opportunity, but we cannot speak too much about that because even if it's quite a good amount of money, between $30,000 and $200,000 that you can get from the federal government for really projects that are like villages. The problem here is the deadline to submit those applications is today at 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you have submitted, congratulations. If you have not submitted, well, we missed this window, and you can count on us to, show you other opportunities in the future. But we really want to help our villages to get more funding, in particular when it's good funding like this one that is using the data and the impact of villages that we can produce. If you submit it and you still have last-minute questions, you can let us know, and if we can help you with your submission, we would gladly do it today. If it's too late for you, well, we will keep you posted about other grant opportunities in the future. This is a reminder also that they very kindly added Helpful Village as one of the recommended volunteer platforms on Community Care Corps on the national grant program. So we're listed there as one of the resources that made available to their grantees, and we're very happy for that. And now we're transitioning to more of the news of Helpful Village. So this is some 2 new training documents that have been set up. This is essentially Anastasia working on this. She created automatic payments step-by-step tutorial. If your village is interested in setting up those automatic payments, you can do it following this article. You can also set up a Zoom meeting with Anastasia. She can gladly help you with this process. If you have questions, you can always contact support@helpfulvillage.com, and you can also create a ticket in our system. There is a second training document that we did. Is about a feature that is called instant membership. So maybe Anastasia, maybe one thing we can do is that if you can copy the link of this training document on the Zoom chat, people can see what the training doc is about. But essentially, instant membership, in most villages, they don't have instant membership. In most cases, you receive a membership inquiry. You have a person that is interested in membership, and then there is a review process from the village, and you decide if this is a good match and you accept them as members or not. But there is a premium feature that is available on Helpful Village that can be activated for your village, by which, for some of your membership types, a person can instantly become a member. Oops, I'm gonna reduce background noise. So for some memberships, if you want to activate this feature that allows a person to go online, fill out an application form, and then if you allowed instant membership for that membership type, the person is invited to pay, and if they pay, they become members instantly. They don't need to wait, until the office opens next week, etc. So it's your choice. For some, I mean, it's perfectly fine if you have a review process, but if you want to have an instant membership feature, we just updated our training docs about that because we were helping a village to set that up. Okay, and now we're going to come into the software improvements of the month. So these are release notes. These improvements are not available on your servers yet because basically we work on those. We make this release webinar to announce these changes to you, and you have a couple of days before they go onto your server to adapt or get ready. So these changes will go onto the server this weekend. So let's start. Okay. This is a print screen from the membership types. When you're configuring your membership types, you can decide for each membership type, if you allow annual payments or monthly payments. If you activate the monthly payments, those monthly payments work in coordination with Stripe. So once you set up your monthly fee, we don't allow you to change that amount anymore because it's complicated to keep the synchronization of the prices with Stripe. If you need to change your monthly fees, you need to talk with us, and then we make sure that the Helpful Village and Stripe are on the same page for the monthly fees. And this is how it looks like today on your platform. You chose that your monthly fee was $10. Helpful Village platform will not allow to change it, but we invite you to send us an email if you need our help with that. But the second option is what we change. There is an option in the monthly payments, which is an automatic extension of the expiration date for a month. I can explain this feature because it's a little funny. But basically, this feature existed before. We have some villages for which, I mean, if you don't check this box, right, a person commits for a full year, maybe of membership, and then they're paying monthly. But we don't change the expiration date because they committed for 1 year, right? So in 1 year, they will receive and renew your membership email. But then if you check this box, what happens is that their expiration date is extended by 1 month automatically every time we receive a monthly payment. And this came about because one of the villages, they had some members that say that they wanted to be forever members. They don't need to renew, they just want to be forever members. And then basically this is a way to do it by which you can choose for your membership types to extend automatically the expiration date by 1 month. So it's an option. You can check or uncheck this option on the membership type. The change we did this month is that before this was not editable, this checkbox now is editable. The only thing, because it's not a problem, that's a logic that is on Helpful Village. The only thing that is difficult to synchronize with the Stripe is the amount. So the amount needs to be, kind of, it's not editable, but this other checkbox has now become editable.
That scared me the first time too.
Okay, and then let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this is the members directory. So when you go under the menu, private menu, you go under members, you have a member directory. The member directory is obviously the list of all your members. But for some villages that had several hundreds of members, that page was a little slow to load, and we wanted to improve the performance and speed of display of that page. So we just added this thing that is called pagination, so that it displays a lot faster on the new version in December. And the pagination, you can see that at the bottom of the screen is that, well, we display 20 members per page. So if you have more than or the 20 members, well then you can click on page 2, page 3, page 4, etc. But then basically what happens is that the page just displays a lot quicker because we don't need to find the address, the phone number of 400 people, but just 20. So that's a much quicker query on the server. And then we just, if the person is navigating with his pagination. So this is just quicker display of the member directory. Next one, spell check. So we have this thing that is called the rich text editor. It's kind of a funny name, but it's actually the editor that you use for your editable pages or that you use for the events description. It is editor in Helpful Village that allows you to enter kind of the bold, the colors for the text and all of that. We activated a new option, which is the possibility to do a spell check. So if you do something wrong, you will see an underline in red saying, well, you forgot a P, an M, etc. So that allows you to basically review the spelling of your text before it goes public, and that is now activated by default on all these areas: event descriptions, event instructions, event comments, and the village document, not the village talk posts. Then I don't know if we did it for the editable pages, but if we didn't, it's also on the editable pages because I just didn't think about that. It may be already activated on the editable pages. But anyways, everywhere where basically we have a rich text editor, we just can activate this spell check option so that we don't have any more typos. Okay, we have made a lot of usability, simplicity improvements this month, and this is a good example. This is the list of email templates. So in Helpful Village, you can set up some email template for some frequent emails that you send out to people. For example, a thank you for your donation message. Is a message you can write once in an email template, and every time you receive a donation, you can use the same beautiful text that you don't need to type every time, but just takes 2 seconds, replacing the variables of the first name, the last name, the amount of that donation. All of that we had before. The thing that we changed is that now when you look at the list of email templates, you see we added a column, which is the auto task column. You see the template type. Also, we're sorting this list is a lot more comprehensible now. It's ordered by type of templates because we have templates for different objects. There are templates for membership, and that includes invitation to renew, thank you for becoming a member, thank you for your first time payment as a member. And then you have other email templates for donations, because those include placeholders for donation amounts, donation date, etc. So those are classified. And then what we added here is that now you can see the auto task that is set. You see the list of templates and what is the auto task, what auto task is using each one of those templates. For example, you see there the thank you for your donation template name is set up with the auto task for thank you for your donation. So when you will see, so this is something that was visible before, but you needed to enter inside each email template to see what auto task was being used. But now we just display this information on the list of email templates so that you don't need to open them all to see what auto tasks are set up. And this came about because we had one village actually that was setting up their email template for invitations to renew for 2025, and the system was not allowing them to do that. And the system was not allowing them to do that because the system needs to know can only have one template per auto task. And people, they already had an email template for kind of invitation to renew 2024. And they were trying to create an invitation to renew 2025, but the system was complaining, and the system is complaining because, like, well, you cannot have two different templates for the same auto task because the system needs to know what one template needs to be used. And so now we just displaying it on this list, so it's easier for you to know, well, do we already have a template for this auto task or not? It's now just easier. We also did something similar in the event categories. So if you go to admin, settings, events, and then event categories, you can organize the different categories of events. And this is how it looks for you today. So this is the old way. You had the name of the event category, and then we have visible to all. We were saying true or false, and then the name and the colors that are used for the event calendar. We added a new column that looks like this, which is a column that is saying archived, because you're gonna have old event categories that are archived that are no longer used. So all that information, we're just also showing it from the list of event categories. We also changed a little bit when we were saying true, true, true. That was really ugly. So what we do now is that when those are public event categories, we put this check mark, and then when they're not public, instead of saying false, because it was just not easy to read, we just say invisible on public website, because you can have some event categories that are not visible to anonymous people online, because you want to keep some categories internal to the village. We made another improvement that was related to this feature, is that with this update, I'm going to read this, is when you're creating new events or editing existing events, we were pulling the list we were allowing you to choose from all the event categories, including those that were archived. But that kind of defeats the purpose of archiving an event category. So with the new version, when you're creating a new event, the new event will not offer you the possibility to create events on an archived event category, because the whole point is that archived event categories should not be used anymore. So this is kind of makes so much sense, but just the code was not there. Preferred vendors. Oops, sorry. So we made changes to the preferred vendors module. And this is essentially on the order in which we're displaying. So if you go under admin, services management, and vendors management, what we're doing is that we're showing the list of all providers that are visible to members. And at the bottom of that page, we were showing those that needed to be done by the admins. But actually, it makes more sense to do the opposite. If we are in the admin management side of vendors, we just change the order. We're showing you those that are in your to-do list as an admin in a village, right? So you can see them at the top of the page. You don't need to scroll down. And then all those that are already done will be at the bottom. So just simplifying the management of your vendors, and those that need review is just making it so that it's easier for you to find the vendors that need to be reviewed. Totally different change. Is okay, so we're changing this is a totally different problem, but also something that came across because one of our villages requested it. I think it was Northwest Neighbors. When you're searching a person, we were searching before it was accent sensitive. So if you were typing an A with an accent or an A without an accent, those were two different searches. So if you type without an accent, today on your platform, you will not show a person that has the same name with an accent. So we just changed that, and now you don't need to type the accent. It's accent insensitive. So if you have someone that has accents in their names, they will show up, and if they don't have accent, it will also show up, at least in the search people. There is another thing that was relative to this, to the list of people and also the list of members, is how are we sorting the list? Well, the sort that we were using before is essentially, I believe it was last name first, and then once it's sorted by last name, we're also sorting by first name. But then what was happening before, what is happening on your service today, is that the sorting was case sensitive. So basically you have the particles or the van or von, things like that are written in lowercase. They were happening before or after the uppercase. So just now we do the same, something similar to what we did with the accents, is like independently of if it's a uppercase V or D for the particle, they will be sorted regardless of their case. Is it uppercase or lowercase, doesn't matter. So just the V will show with the V's, uppercase or lowercase doesn't matter. Okay, go to the next one. Also, we go back to vendor forms, preferred vendors. We just changed a lot of the labels for more clarity and just better English. So these are some examples of things that we changed. So, for example, a list of the services your company can provide. So that's kind of a little bit of a broken English, and just change it to services company can provide. Same things. Comments is actually your recommendation because your members can write a review of a provider. So just comments was a little bit too vague, but this is the recommendation of the member. And then just some other labels that changed from contact first name, change it to business contact first name, so that it's a little bit more explicit. And then referred by, change that to recommended by member. So just wording on that side. Here is also another usability change. Um, we changed you go to a person profile and you go to the volunteer tab. What we had before is that we had the volunteer activities at the top of this list. Because when I initially created it, it was like, well, you have a new volunteer. What is it that they're doing? But actually, for villages that are using this feature all the time, the volunteer activities don't change that often. If you have a person that signs up to be a driver, computer assistant, and then maybe gardening, they're not changing those things every day. But it's a lot more useful for administrators to have the volunteer notes at the top of this tab. So that's what we did. We just got the volunteer activities are at the bottom of this tab, and now the volunteer notes at the very top. So if there is something that an administrator wants to remember about this volunteer, because they made a note, it's easier to find this information now at the top of this tab. So it's the same information we had before. We just reorder it so that the admins can go quicker to more relevant information that changes more often than just the list of activities. We made some other usability changes. These are on the application forms, typically the membership application form. You can ask in the typical application form, you have first name, last name, phone numbers, date of birth, and you have other questions that are optional questions you can add to your application form because these application forms are editable. They were editable before. And we had already these fields like special expertise, your interest, what do you love doing, which are really interesting questions. The change that we had here is that some of these questions were what we call a text field, which is a one-liner. But for some of these questions, we're interested in giving the person an opportunity to express themselves a little more, right, about their special expertise or the interest that they have, what do they love doing. If we put a text field, well, people were thinking about adding 2 or 3 words, but if we're asking them what they love doing, it makes more sense to allow them to enter a paragraph where they're explaining more how they like dancing or any other activity. So just the display of these fields, it makes more sense. Okay. Okay, this is one change, and I think it's the last change that we have for this month. And then I want to show you a few more slides about all the things that we're working on. Okay, this is membership management for associated members. So when you have 2 associated members, let's say John and Mary Smith, each one of them have a personal profile on Helpful Village. And then you can
I
go
had to rerun the dishes this morning.
got mute here. So you can have John's page, and that John's profile page has all the information about John, and all the pages for Mary has all the information about Mary. And then each one of them you have the possibility to update their date of birth separately and these things separately. But then there is one tab that is a little bit more interesting, the member tab, because what we were doing before is that we were allowing you to manage their membership information separately. But then we realized that basically this improvement is that it makes more sense if they're in the same household membership, that if you change the membership type for one of them, it updates for everyone that is in the membership in that household, household or associated membership. Let me explain you, maybe it's easier to tell you how this happened. We had a village that had a trial membership for a household, and they put John and Mary in a trial membership. At the end of the 2 month or 3 month trial membership, they invited the member, and these people decided to become full members, which is perfect. It's a beautiful transition from trial to full member. But because we didn't want to have the software making automatic changes to both profiles, what ended up happening is that they changed the membership type for the primary member, and they didn't think it was necessary to change it. So basically, John and Mary ended up with having different membership types because actually we're asking them to go into John's profile, change the membership type, and then go to Mary's profile and change the membership type. But that's a lot of work. So basically, the change here is that if you change the membership type for any of the associated members, it's going to update the membership type for all of the people in that household membership. Now, let me tell you, in general, why were we doing that before? It's like sometimes I want to be cautious about modifying information automatically from the computer, right, without you knowing. But in this particular case, we thought that the price to pay was worse if you're changing the membership type for one of the people in the household membership and not the other one, because then they would be desynchronized. So from now on, we just do it automatically. If we change the membership type for one of the people in the household membership, that membership type would go to everyone in there. Okay, so that is for the changes we did this month. And now I had a few more slides before we enter a discussion. These few more slides are things we're working on, and not sure we have them for the December release, but we'll have them for the January release.
Manuel, before you continue, could you answer a quick question, please?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the question from the chat from Susan, it's about what happens if the one of the member dies.
Great. Yes, I love that question. We have a specific training document about that one. Stacia, I don't know if you can find it and post
Well,
it.
no, it's not how to put it, do it, but if you made the person deceased
Yeah.
and did all those things, you
Yeah.
don't want them to change the membership type for the other person in the household.
Well, let me tell you what
That was all I was asking
No,
about.
it's a good question. I'm happy to go over that because our recommendation, right, is that if you have John and Mary, they were in a household membership, and let's say that John deceases because the men go away quicker. Um, um, what we recommend doing is that you go to John's profile on the membership type. You change their status from active to deceased, right? And you change their expiration date to the deceased date. And then what we recommend doing is that you go to Mary's profile and you change her household membership also, which would still be the same with John. So they are sharing the same membership type, but change her status to dropped so that her household membership becomes dropped at the same death date. And our recommendation is you change her to an individual membership because she's no longer in a household, right? So what we recommend doing when you do that, right? After you say dropped, you can save. Basically, you change. She will have a previous membership status, and you create a new membership for her under individual. So
yeah, we don't have ours are the same for individuals and households.
oh well, yeah.
But
Well,
we can do it. Yes.
yes.
Okay.
But our general recommendation, because what we didn't want to happen, right, is that if you go to Mary and you change her status to individual membership, then you lost the information about the fact that last year she was in a household. So all your stats are broken, right? So the proper way is like I was saying, if John and Mary were on household last year, you are putting him in status deceased and her as dropped because he's no longer in a household. And then you start a new membership for her, which is an individual membership starting this year. And then if you do it that way for your reporting, right, you will have the exact right numbers, which is, okay, we have one pure person in a household, one more people in individual membership. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, now let's, Anastasia, thank you. If there are other things in the chat, you should definitely let me know. Otherwise, I just keep going. These are different things that we are working on. So there is, yes, as you saw, some work we're doing with the professional vendors that you can advertise on your system. The idea here is that you have members that can suggest new vendors or review the existing vendors in the database. But now, if we are allowing your members to make an application for new vendors or suggest or recommend new vendors, we're adding an email template specifically so that your village is, has the possibility to add some wording and customization of that email message that goes out with the application form, just so that it makes more sense. So we're adding a new email template type with a new auto task, right, for the submission of vendors. So this is not available this weekend, but it's something we're working on. There's another thing we're working on also is on the service evaluations page, right? So after you do a service request, you can activate a service evaluation where basically your member or your volunteer is saying, how did it go? Everything went well, or there was a minor issue, or there was a problem. But those service evaluations, you can see them on your website. You can go under, I think it's admin, services management, service evaluations. And on the service evaluation, you can see the full list of everyone that reviewed their service request, kind of their service evaluation, but those are not searchable. And we're making them searchable so that if you're looking for a word or a keyword in the service evaluation, you can more easily find the service evaluations. Actually, let me show you. What we're doing is this. When you go to volunteer service requests, you can look at your list of service requests. You can go to page 2. And when you're on page 2, in the service request, you have at the bottom of it, you have a form that allows you to filter these service requests. You can see all the service requests that happen between the 8th and the 14th. And then just search for what member, for what purpose, etc. And then you're filtering this list of service requests. But these service requests, and this is great because it allows you to search. And we're going to add the same thing here. If you go under services management, service evaluations, the services evaluations where you see the reviews by your members and volunteers. But then at the bottom of this page, there is no possibility to search. So we're adding the possibility to search if you want to filter out this list. Okay, this is another thing that we need to add is associated members. When you have an event and you're allowing your associated members to register for an event, the system is offering you a checkbox because maybe they want to register for an event for all the household members. So for John and Mary, John, when he's registering for an event and he's logged into Helpful Village, we know he has other associated members, and we present him with a checkbox like, well, do you want to register for yourself and your, and Mary? And then he checks that box immediately. That registers for both of them. And we're doing that for free events. For some odd reason, we're just not doing it when you're purchasing a ticket. But it should be the same. There's no reason, just we never thought of doing it in both places. So we need to add the possibility to when you're selling tickets so that you can also include other household members there. There's another funny thing that happened we never thought of is that you can have events that are created that are member-only events. Then in those cases, a member can go in and register for themselves. But something we did not think of is that today they have the possibility to register for themselves, but they can add guests. And if these guests are not members, then suddenly for some villages is a problem. Well, basically that you have guests that are coming a member-only event. So we are adding some functionality so that your village can dictate if members can bring outside guests or if a member-only with no guests, so that just the system doesn't behave the same. So it's kind of, let's say the member is like the guests to member-only events loophole that is going to be taken care of. Sorry. It's horrible when I laugh at my own jokes. I should not do that. Okay, let me see this one. This is the same one that we were saying before. It's the automatic vendor email so that we have an email template that is customizable by the village. It's just an extension of what we were saying before. And this is searchable box. So it's the same thing that I described already in one line. And this is just a longer description in text of the short list of improvement that we will be doing. So with that, we just come to the end of today improvement releases and announcements. So at this point, I can stop sharing and pause, and then we can open a discussion. Or if there are any questions in the chat or any questions that someone wants to unmute and ask those questions live, we can do that. Otherwise, we're meeting again next week. So
there is one question. There is
Yes.
one question from Tina.
Okay.
I don't know if Tina, you would like to ask it directly?
Sure. So I noticed, and apologies if I missed this in another webinar, but I noticed a couple of weeks ago we started being able to view people that had registered for different events, and then it kind of disappeared. So I was wondering
It's a great question.
if it was possible to get that back, or
Yes,
if that was in the process.
No, I love that. I love that, and I I made a mistake with that. And I'll show you. So basically, you come here, Tina. I know what you're saying. So you go to an events list, and you can have your members seeing what other members are participating in that event, and that is something that was requested and quite popular with some villages saying, "Oh, if John is going to that event, I want to make sure I go there too." So it's a good feature. The thing is that when we launched it initially, we thought it would be a good feature for all villages, but it's not always like that. So we got a couple of villages coming back to us like, yeah, that's nice, but not for us. So we cannot have that. So basically what we did is that we added an option so that your village can activate or deactivate that feature. So it's available to you. You just can, I'm going to show you where it is, but you can go activate it and it will immediately show. I don't need to deploy anything. So it's here. So you go admin, settings, events, as you would expect, right? Because we're talking about events. And then it's this last one here. Registrant has, no, where is it? Oh God, you know what? I'm pretty sure it's not even on demo. It's not here. Give me a second.
I do see an option that says display list of event participants to active members. That does show
That's
up for
it.
me.
That's
So,
it.
perfect.
You
Awesome.
got
Thank
it.
you.
I'm gonna show it because I'm too embarrassed. So here, events. Is this one here. Display list of event participants to active members. So if you want to show the list, so you check that box and save. And if you want to hide that list, you uncheck and save. So yeah, the functionality is there. By default, for villages that have not looked at the setting, is deactivated. So because we're always kind of cautious, kind of protecting the privacy by default. And then if you think that's okay and something that is appreciated by your members, you can go in here and display that. Obviously, that information is only displayed to other active members. It's not publicly visible for people that are anonymous going online, etc. Cool. Thank you for the question. Because there was some change in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of quite interesting how the flow goes talking with villages, where you talk with a village, like there is this idea. It's so, we absolutely necessary. It's great for everybody. And then you do it for everybody. It's like, no, not for everybody. It didn't work for everybody. For some people working a different way, and we need to change it. Do we have any other questions, Anastasia, on the chat or not really?
No, just it.
Okay, cool. We don't need to keep going any further. We had a good session, and I always speak quick. And we're meeting again next week, so I would say that we can just get off. We will, publish the webinar today, publish the recording on YouTube and on Slack, and then we're meeting again next week. If you have any questions, please remember to send them to Gary, HVusers at b2bnetwork.org, and then we'll be meeting again at the same time next Wednesday. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.